Final segment of the SI Sooners podcast. And I'm telling you, have we got a treat for you? If you've stuck around this long, it's like an Easter egg. You are on the ground floor as we break out a brand new feature, our exclusive interview with, I'm sure you can tell by now, the Groves brothers, or as we call them on this show, the Groves bros, Tanner Groves and Jacob Groves. They are going to join the SI Sooners podcast exclusively every Wednesday in a segment we're calling the Groves Bros. And Tanner and Jacob, they're able to join us thanks to our good friends at Trade Pros. If you need heating and air, call Trade Pros 405 316 0598. They're Oklahoma owned and they're going to take care of you guys. So Josh had to bounce, had a prior commitment for this third segment, but Tanner, Jacob, appreciate you guys being here. I'm so excited we can work this out and get partnered up and get together for this podcast. How's things going?
Oh yeah, man, things are going great. Definitely, really looking forward to this opportunity. I think this is our first NIL opportunity, and we're just super stoked to be able to do it with you guys and get our names out there and talk some hoops, talk about our lives, and just have a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, guys, for having us on. Like Tanner said, we're super excited. I think it'll be, a good opportunity for all of us. Everyone's going to kind of get to know Tanner and I a little bit, and it's just going to be a sweet little segment that we have going on. So, yeah, thanks again for having us.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're glad you're here. Of course, Ryan's still around. So you guys come here. I've been fascinated by this since day one, all the way from Washington, Spokane, Washington. I know that's a long way because I've driven it. So I know everybody in Sooner Nation has seen you guys play. I get the feeling that y'all have some really big fans in the fan base, but let's give everybody a chance to get to know the real Tanner, the real Jacob. Growing up in Spokane, I'm told it's Hoopstown, USA, known as, maybe by some of the locals, but maybe outside of town a little bit as well. How big does that reputation grow? And tell us why it's called Hoopstown.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Spokane's got a lot of rich basketball culture. A lot of people, refer to it nowadays as Hooptown USA, but yeah, I mean, I think that the people from Spokane have done just a great job blowing it up, making it into a basketball city. If you look it up, Spokane is home to the largest three-on-three outdoor basketball tournament in the world, called Hoopfest, and it's been going on since I think the '90s, maybe. I think '90s is when it started, late '90s, and it's been going since then. But yeah, I mean, Spokane has just got a lot of rich history. Obviously, you have Gonzaga, you have John Stockton coming from Spokane. Um, there's a lot of good hoopers, and I think that Spokane kind of gets overlooked from time to time when it comes to the hoop scene, and even Washington in general. I think that a lot of great basketball players come from Washington, but yeah, I love Spokane. It's part of who I am. Growing up, just loved going out to different basketball games. My mom and dad are both teachers. My mom works for one of the local high schools, and kind of got introduced to basketball early. She would keep score for games at at one of the local high schools, and so I was just always around hoops. And obviously, Jake and I, being 2 years apart, we spent a lot of time out on the street, playing one on one on the blacktop, and yeah, just having a great time, growing up together. And yeah, Spokane is an amazing place, and it's definitely I brought that culture that kind of runs through Spokane. I think that that's a part of who I am, and why I love the game of basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of, piggybacking off what Tanner said. I mean, I think that Hooptown USA is kind of that's where kind of the Hoop Fest comes from, which is the 3-on-3 tournament that Tanner was talking about, and it's a pretty awesome weekend if you're from that area, and it draws a lot of people from all over the country. Actually, there's a lot of people on the west side that'll travel, from California or from Oregon or from Montana or even the other side of the state just to come play in that tournament. And so it's a pretty awesome weekend where they pretty much shut down all of downtown Spokane and just like they bring a whole bunch of basketball hoops down there, tape the lines on the court, and have a whole bunch of volunteers, court monitors. It's a pretty awesome weekend and just a super big thing for Spokane, and so it's really a really fun weekend for everybody.
All right, I'm going to put you both on the spot real quick. 3-on-3 tournament. We're entering the Groves Bros. Both you got to pick one OU teammate to go with you, though. We're gonna cheat a little bit, make it a 4-man team. You can sub somebody in and out. Jacob, Tanner, who you guys taking with you from Norman back to Spokane for Hoops Fest?
That's a good question. I'd probably have to say, I think just in terms of 3-on-3 basketball, like outdoor basketball, it's pretty cutthroat. It's pretty, street hoops. There's a lot of fouls. I would have to say my man EJ, Elijah Harkless. I think he'd be a dog at Hoop Fest. I've played in a lot of Hoop Fests. It's definitely a lot of fun to play in. You got to be really scrappy. It's a lot of fun. But I'd definitely take my man EJ. I think he'd be a really good Hoop Fest player. I think he'd be a dog.
It's exactly what I was thinking too. I mean, I think EJ's a great one, and I also think our other guy would. I think I'm taking Ethan Shagwa as well, just because he's kind of got that in him too, where he's not scared of anybody, and he loves that physicality, and I think he would love Hoop Fest. He would eat it up, especially with him being able to foul other guys on defense too. He would love that. He would love that part of it.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, a lot of Hoop Fest. A lot of Hoop Fest is a lot. Once you get into like kind of the adult leagues, it kind of becomes, you get to call your own fouls, and that's kind of where Hoop Fest a little bit makes its name. There's a lot of there's you'll be walking down a court, and there'll be like some people getting into a big argument. There'll be a little bit of a brawl going on, and that's just kind of the culture of Hoop Fest. It's a lot of fun, but it can get rowdy sometimes, and that's kind of why we love it.
Very competitive.
Oh yeah, the people take it serious.
I can't imagine walking out into the court and being like, "Oh, it's the Groves Bros and Ethan Shagwa." Like that team is a size mismatch. Regardless, you mentioned the age difference, so I was gonna start with you here, Jacob. How has that been for you, or how was it for you, I guess, as you were working your way through high school basketball and the AAU circuit? Do you guys always play together? Was 2 years enough of a gap for you to end up on different teams? And how did that work out with you guys both ended up the same spot, Eastern Washington?
Yeah, so it was that 2 years was kind of interesting because Tanner and I both weren't. We were good high school basketball players, but we weren't like standouts. I mean, I think between Tanner and I, we held one Division I offer, and that was Tanner to Eastern Washington, and so we were just kind of kids that went up through the ranks. I mean, we both played freshman basketball our freshman year, and then sophomore year we played JV basketball, and then junior and senior year we'd jump up and play varsity, and so we never really got the opportunity to play together in high school at all or AAU, just because that 2 year age gap was kind of something you just followed and you kind of played your own grade, and so that was the Groves Bros kind of playing together never really became a thing until the Eastern Washington days when we started getting some time together and so yeah, that's when that was kind of born.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, speaking off of high school hoops, yeah, I think my junior year, I won the league MVP of our league, and then senior year I was first team. But yeah, I mean, I think that both Jake and I were pretty under recruited. We didn't really get a lot of looks. We were pretty blessed that Eastern was such a good. It just turned out to be such a good situation for the both of us. Just because they had offered me, and then a couple of years later, coaches had gone to a couple of Jake's games and saw what he was capable of. I think they wanted to give him a scholarship, but because of our situation on the team, we just didn't have one available. So he was a preferred walk on with a guaranteed scholarship after like a year or two. And so that's kind of where that came from. But yeah, I mean, just growing up playing high school basketball, there's a lot of good talent in Spokane. I think my my junior year I won league MVP, but my senior year I was beat out by Anton Watson, who's a standout player out at Gonzaga right now, and he's a stud. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good hoopers that come from Washington and come from the Spokane area. My senior year, actually, it was it was a gauntlet in the state tournament. There was a ton of guys, playing D1 basketball, especially over in the Seattle area. But we had Michael Porter Jr., who's on the Denver Nuggets. His high school team was, I think we were one game out. If we would have won in state, we would have played them. But I mean, I played against guys like Emmett Matthews, who's at UW right now, was at West Virginia last year. Played against guys like PJ Fuller, he's also at UW, was at TCU last year. Um, Dejon Davis, Stanford kid, who's at UW. There's a lot of guys going to UW this year, but guys from the Pac-12, Big 12, a lot of guys from Washington in the high school basketball scene going everywhere and playing Division One hoops. So a lot of competition growing up, but yeah, I mean, definitely blessed to have that offer from Eastern, and yeah, it kind of went on from there. So it's great.
See, now I want to drive to Spokane and play in the Hooptown 3v3. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks a lot for that. In my younger days, I would have done that and probably would have got a bloody nose out of it.
Oh,
But
definitely.
hey, I'm going to jump off script here as well because I want to ask you guys, forget about OU basketball for just a second. Let's stay around the dinner table. Who's the better basketball player? Your dad was a great player, but your mom is a legend.
Yeah,
Mom is a legend.
I'd definitely
Absolutely, yeah.
say, I'd definitely say my mom. I mean, she was a stud. If you go look in the record books, she's still on. I think she's still leading all time scorer at Whitworth University, a little D3 school in Spokane. I think, yeah, for men and women, she's the leading scorer at Whitworth. I believe she scored over 2,000 points in her career, and so she's a stud for sure. She was a heck of a player.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we still kind of we still see it sometimes out in the driveway when she comes out and shoots with us, when Tanner and I and our little brother now too, who's an eighth grader. He, whenever we're home, he's always come out in the driveway and play one-on-one with me. And so we spend a lot of time in the driveway playing with him and stuff. And it's it's a good day when mom comes out and starts getting shots up with you. That's fun.
What brand does she wear on her feet? Or is she out there in her work shoes?
Well, she's a PE teacher, so she's in her work shoes. She's always in her work shoes. She's always wearing some hoop shoes.
Perfect. So tell me about this, guys. Life in college. Roommates, you're living in the same house, you're living together, you're playing together on this same team, trying to make some hay on this team. What's life like when you're not in the basketball gym, when you're not on the practice court, when you're not around Porter Moser and your teammates?
Yeah, I would say that we do a lot of just hanging out in the apartment. I mean, we go through some long days in the gym, some very long days, and so you kind of take this time to come home and get some homework done and just kind of rest your bodies. But that's more in season, because you're trying to prepare yourself for the upcoming games. But when we're out of season, I mean, we like to do quite a bit. I mean, we like to obviously hang out with our guys, our teammates. We've kind of since coming to Norman, we've actually gotten into this kind of golf craze, and so we golf quite a bit. This summer we were golfing 2-3 times a week, which was a really fun little hobby. Um, Back in Cheney, we haven't really been exposed to this as much here, but back in Cheney, we loved to fish. There were a bunch of lakes, and we had a little we had a little aluminum boat that would hang out at our apartment with us, and we used to take that out fishing all the time. I love to hunt, and so just kind of we've done a little bit of pond hopping here this summer and caught some fish, but um, we haven't been to real any honey holes next. We've heard that we got to get down on Lake Texoma and do some striper fishing or something down there.
Yep.
Yeah, most definitely. Just piggybacking off of Jake, I mean, like you said, being from up in Washington, naturally we're kind of drawn to the outdoors, and so definitely love camping. We have a big lake spot it's actually not in Washington. It's in Idaho, back home, about 2 hours away from Washington. And yeah, but we love, just being on the water, fishing, water skiing, tubing, hanging out, having a good time, um, being around the campfire, doing whatever. Just love the outdoors, and I just think that that's kind of naturally from being up there from Washington. There's a lot of things to do outdoors, and yeah, we just love it out doing stuff and having a good time. So yeah, definitely just fishing, hunting, all that kind of stuff. We're drawn to it.
I smell an NIL opportunity. I smell a hunting guide somewhere, a fishing guide somewhere in Oklahoma saying, "Hey, I can hook those guys up."
Hey,
That would
if
be
there's any listeners out there, man, we're game.
that would be awesome.
So how much did all that change for you guys last year? Obviously, everything shut down. And on top of that, just all of the protocols and things you guys had to go through just to make sure you could be on the floor and playing night in, night out, much less thriving. Obviously, incredibly successful Big Sky champions, all that stuff. But how did that change for you guys? And then how did that translate to having to work through that on the floor last year?
Yeah, it was crazy last year with COVID. Every I think 2 or 3 times a week we were getting COVID tested, and back then the rules were a lot more strict. It's like if one guy tests positive, then pretty much the entire team is shut down for almost 2 weeks or something. I think about 10 days or so. And so the rules were a lot different back then, and if you miss those games, then it's hard to make them up. And so last year, we were doing the most, keep our distance, stay safe, and but that stuff still hits you. And I think our team got hit with COVID probably 3 times throughout the year, and so we had to find gym space that we could get into. Run outdoors when we had to, when we weren't allowed to be in the gym. Um, and just do whatever we could to stay in shape, keep a basketball in our hands. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a grind, but I think that that team last year at Eastern was pretty special, and it was just a lot of fun. Kind of working through that whole COVID season, being part of that history, and making the bubble and doing all that, and yeah, that's something that I'll definitely remember for the rest of my life. That Eastern Washington experience. That was definitely a group that you know it's a little different being at a mid-major school. Where you're fighting for an at-large bid and this and that. But like at a small major school, you literally have to win the conference tournament to make it to March Madness. And so that's like all we were really focused about is just we got to make the tournament somehow. We got to find a way. And I thought our team was definitely the best team last year in that league, the Big Sky, and unfortunately we lost a couple. I think we lost one bad game down the stretch at the end of the year in regular season. So we ended up taking the third seed in the conference tournament and had a pretty good draw. And like I said, I thought we were the best team, and so yeah, we made it all the way and ended up being Big Sky champions, and the rest is kind of history from there. But it was definitely a cool season that'll go down in history. The COVID year, and it's pretty crazy, but yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it was just kind of like Tanner said, it was a crazy year. It really was, and it was the part that was kind of the most crazy to me was just going and playing all these games. We had a pretty good non-conference schedule when we were playing at Arizona, um, in Pac-12 places like that, and it's so bizarre walking into those arenas, when it's game time and there's no stands or there's no fans in the stands. It's unbelievable playing in just a completely quiet arena. And so something we tried to do obviously was just bring a ton of energy from the bench, which actually worked to our benefit quite a bit. And then we just tried to stay healthy. Overall, it was just from the circumstances that we were dealing with, and just the whole COVID protocol and everything. If someone were to test positive and just everything that was going on, there were a lot of challenges for every team in the nation. And so, just being able to work through those and then, just like Tanner said, be able to win the conference tournament was pretty special.
Yeah, listen, you guys are 100% right. That Eastern Washington team last year was special. How special was it? It pushed Kansas to the brink. The Kansas Jayhawks. You guys know a little something about Kansas. You have a different perspective on them right now. But guys, tell me about this game. 35 for Tanner, 23 for Jake. Where did that come from? Both season highs last year. That was an incredible performance by you guys.
Yeah, I think it was just, one of those games where you just got hot at the right time. I mean, we both shot it really well from three, which helped us, and then we were just able to get in and find some easy ones. It was funny when we were sitting there on Selection Sunday and we saw our name pop across the screen and everyone's like excited and everything, and then you see Kansas pop across the screen and you're like, all right, it's time to get to work, because we got our work cut out for you. And so it was one of those things where we were excited, we were happy. We knew there was a chance we could get them, because obviously anything can happen in March. You see upsets all the time, and so we really believed. And it was just kind of one of those things that worked out the way it did. That Tanner and I played so well, and it was cool just to see how one game in March can just kind of change your whole entire career path. And so that game is something that I think we're both very grateful for. There's no way we would be here if we wouldn't have got kind of the recognition and the spotlight was on us, and we definitely wouldn't be here if that never happened. So, we're grateful, and now we get to play them, 2 times a year. And so we hope we can find a way to get some wins out of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, March Madness last year was pretty special. It was a lot of fun. I think it was just kind of right, like Jake said. Just got hot at the right time. Our team was playing our best basketball, and it was just good to see the ball go through the hoop a few extra times. And but yeah, no, it was just a lot of fun. I think that we had an offensive game plan, and it was just kind of funny because, like, I think we tried to run a couple plays here and there in the first 5 minutes, and then Jake obviously had a couple buckets, and then I hit a three or two, and then at that point we just kind of scrapped the game plan. All the times that I was kind of picking and popping for three, that was just no play call. That was just me kind of just doing it. And so a lot of that is just our coach was just letting us play pretty free, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was funny that I haven't really said that too much, but yeah, I mean, we just kind of offensively we basically pretty much scrapped our game plan, and we were just playing hoops at that point. I think most of the guys on the team, at least our core senior group, we've been playing together for 3 or 4 years, and so we know each other's games, we know our strengths, and we're just really good at playing together. And so you kind of get to a point where you don't need to essentially run a strict offense every time. You kind of just play hoops, and that's kind of what we did, and we got pretty good at it. And like I said, Jake and I were both getting hot, and just happened to be our game, and it just worked out perfect. It was a lot of fun, and kind of cool how many eyes are on you during that tournament. This year it was a little different with the bubble. There were still, lots of people in the crowd, but it was nowhere near a packed stadium like it usually is. And I'm hoping we get to experience something like that again this year, which I still think we definitely can. But yeah, no, going back, that Kansas game was definitely a lot of fun, and kind of blew up Jake and I's names a little bit. It's cool.
Let me tell you, it might not have been full arenas or anything, but I was down in the bubble covering OU, obviously, and your guys' game went on way before the OU game. OU Missouri played the nightcap. So I was in Indianapolis, just tried to basically find a sports bar to watch the early slate of games with the unique atmosphere. And the Groves brothers were not just household names. They were running through the bar. There was a large Kansas contingent that was already upset with you two, all of that stuff. So might not have had a full stadium, but all of Indy was talking about you guys during that time slot for sure. But obviously, you're both now here at Oklahoma. So after that experience, headed to the transfer portal, all of that stuff, did you both kind of go into it saying, hey, we want to be a package deal? did you basically say we'd like to end up somewhere, but at some point we're going to have to make the best decision for us? I know that Tanner, I kind of talked to you early in the season about your journey here to Norman that we put on the website, but how was that for both of you guys? Did you have a game plan going in?
Yeah, I mean, I think the game plan was it was kind of a weird thing, like because so basically after the March Madness game, it opened up a ton of new opportunities for everyone that was a part of that Eastern Washington team. Right after, I think it was like 2 or 3 days, literally 2 or 3 days after the season. We had a team meeting, and our head coach Shante Legans, he told us that he was going to be taking the Portland job, and so from then on, we kind of had a lot of decisions to make. Coach went to Portland. One of our assistant coaches got hired on pretty quickly at Eastern, and we love all those guys, and so we were just trying to. Our first move was just like talking to our teammates, and what are you guys going to do? What's going to be the plan? Because we're rooming with one of our point guards, Jack Perry. He was on the team, and we all initially, that's just our first thought is, we loved the group that we were with, and we all wanted to, be around each other. And so we were like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to stay here at Eastern, or are we going to go to Portland and follow Coach Legs? And so that was kind of our first initial thoughts. And then, right when we get our name in the portal, I think literally within 10 minutes, I got my first phone call from Washington State, who's in the Pac-12. And they were my first phone call. They were hot on my trail right away. And, from then I probably heard from 10 other teams that night. And then, the next few weeks just kind of got crazy. Got phone calls from a lot of coaches, and it was pretty cool just because, I didn't really get that experience, coming out of high school, obviously with just one Division I offer. And so I kind of liked it. I kind of relished that fact that, I'm kind of, these coaches want me, and, these teams want me. And so I thought that was pretty cool. But, for me, I think just the main thing was, I got to find the right fit. I got to make sure that, especially if I go to a high major school, I got to find the right fit. Because I have a certain skill set that I think that I'm capable of playing at a high major level, but I can't find a school where maybe I go here and then they recruit over me and I don't play. And so for me, it was just trying to build trust with the right coach, with the right staff, and finding a place where I can play and I can contribute, and where essentially we can have a good chance at winning. And so that was kind of my thoughts. And then just to go along with Jake, we initially just kind of wanted to go in it separately. And if it worked out to where we were recruited together, then it worked out. And a lot of teams in the recruiting process had asked me and had asked Jake, are we a package deal? If so, we'll call your brother or whatever. And they told both Jake and I that. And so it kind of eventually worked out like that. But yeah, that was kind of just our initial thoughts and just our process of going through the portal.
Yeah, I think adding on to that, just kind of like what Tanner said, we both went into it, and it was a really eye-opening experience. I don't know, for me especially. But we went into it, and we're just, kind of talking with our family, talking about, if Tanner was to get an opportunity and really like it, and I was to get a different opportunity and really like it, then obviously it would be best if we did kind of part ways, and then our house would kind of be divided. But that's just kind of something that we were going to have to accept, and that was okay with my parents and everything. And so it wasn't originally like we were a package deal, but kind of like Tanner said, a lot of the schools that did reach out to us were reaching out to Tanner and to me as well. And so it was cool to see. And then just the transfer portal was such an interesting and kind of cool opportunity for me, just because I wasn't a kid who was recruited really at all out of high school. I mean, I talked to a couple, Division I coaches here and there, but it wasn't, I didn't have any offers. I was kind of flew under the radar. And so having, obviously Oklahoma and some other, Big 12 schools and ACC schools like recruit you and want you to play for them was something that was really stressful. And it was just cool too, just like looking back at it and being able to say like, yeah, I had opportunities to play, and not pretty much every conference in the country, but some of the biggest conferences in the country, some of the Power 5 schools. It was like that's an unbelievable opportunity, and so it was cool for me in that sense, and just the way that Oklahoma kind of came together with the coaching staff they have here and their plan for Tanner and I just worked out perfectly, and so that's definitely why we're here now.
So the obvious question, and I know you guys have taken this question in press conference settings and given interviews and been quoted here and there, but let's tell the podcast listeners and the viewers on YouTube, why Oklahoma? Why Porter Moser? What sold you about the Sooners?
Yeah, so definitely just it's kind of funny. I think, I kind of mentioned this in a different podcast, in the Barstool podcast, but initially I was just scrolling through my Twitter direct messages, and I saw a DM from one of the assistant coaches, Emmanuel Dildy, who's the assistant coach here now. He just DM'd me and said, "Hey, I think Oklahoma would be a great fit for you. I want to hop on a call with you as soon as possible. Let me know what you think." And I'm glad I saw that message, and so I kind of jumped at that opportunity. I knew that Coach Moser had got the job. I saw what he did with Loyola in the past few years and in the tournament, and so I was like, "Oh heck yeah, I'm going to jump at this opportunity." And so I texted him right back, and shortly after, I think within an hour or so, I was on a FaceTime call with Coach, and I think we were just on there for we were FaceTime for about an hour, just talking hoops and talking what I wanted um, out of the rest of my college experience, and I just really liked Coach's energy. I liked his vision for me, and I just think that it was just it was once it got down to it, I was like, man, I get an opportunity to play in the Big 12 in a great system where the big guys flourish. Obviously, Cameron Krutwig, who was on the Loyola team, had a pretty incredible career, and a lot of the ball was obviously going through his hand quite a bit, and so I kind of saw that, and I thought that it was just a great opportunity for me to expand my game at the highest level. And along with that, I just liked Coach's energy, and I liked just his ability to, he just did a really good job recruiting me, and he told me the truth 100% the whole time, and he hasn't backed down from his word. Everything he said to me was 100% true, and I just really appreciated that out of him, and yeah, it was just great. And once it got down to it, it was a pretty easy decision for me.
I would say that just as far as my kind of recruiting journey with Oklahoma, it was, mine came just a little bit after Tanner's. When they kind of had offered him and were recruiting him, they said they were going to come and dive into my film and look at my game and see if I was going to be a fit. And so it kind of worked out perfectly, just the way that they had offered Tanner. And then 2 days later, I was on a call with the whole coaching staff, and they had offered me, and they were kind of just going through my game and telling me, kind of how I would fit into their program and in the offense they run and everything they do. And so I thought that was awesome. It's funny. There was just an article that kind of came out about this, but one of my best friends growing up, Matthew Carney, he was a student manager at Loyola Chicago the past 2 years for Coach. And so we had a little bit of insight with Coach Moser, and just, right when I had gotten the offer from him, I called Maddie and I was like, "Hey, what's up? Like, you got to, give me the inside details about this guy." And so Maddie pretty much ran me down on everything, and just said that he's an unbelievable coach, obviously. And another thing that stood out to Tanner and I is that, he's obviously coming from Loyola, which is a mid-major program. They have to win the Valley tournament in order to make it to March Madness. And so I think that it was cool for us to look at that, as players coming from a mid-major level, and he was a coach that came from a mid-major level, and just the success that he's had in the past with mid-major guys, going to the Final Four, going to the Elite Eight, the Sweet 16, like that's pretty remarkable. And so it was cool for Tanner and I to be able to be like, well, he's done this with mid-major guys before, so why can't he do it with us? And so that was a big sell kind of for us, and just, his resume and his success, and then just the way he runs his offense and the culture that he kind of builds was all just, good stuff on top. And so it was really a pretty easy decision for us once we had all the details out.
Well, you guys are here now, and obviously we've got plenty of time to stretch out, get to know you guys here over the next few weeks. So we're not going to rehash every single thing that's gone down this season so far, but just what's kind of stood out to you this year so far, from the highs, the lows, little skid you're on right now. Just what stood out? What have you guys learned? Hasn't been like what's some of the most surprising things, or things that you thought like, yeah, I thought this transition would be this, and it's been exactly that throughout the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I would say that, just the biggest transition so far is just the level of skill. In this league, there's no off nights. It's not like, hey, we're playing these guys. We just lost the game. Now we get to play these guys, and this should be a bounce back win. It's like in this league, there's no such thing as that, and that's part of the reason you come here is you come here to play in this conference because you get to go against the best of the best, and you get to prove that you can do it too. And that's kind of why I wanted to come here, and why I wanted to follow coach here, and join him, because just because he's a competitive guy and he loves to win and hates to lose. And that's, I'm cut from the same cloth. I want to win. And you know in regards to our team this year, I think there's no doubt that we can win big games. Most of our losses are not blowouts. We haven't really got blown out from any team besides Auburn, I'd say, and so all these games have been pretty close. We're right in there with every game, and there's no doubt in my mind that I think that we can win a couple big ones. I think we have 8 conference games left, and then obviously the tournament as well. And so there's a lot of basketball to be played. Obviously, something that people tell you all the time is, don't go on social media, don't see the comments. But a lot of people are writing us off right now, and I see that on social media, and I don't really care what they say, and I have no doubt that I see what our coaching staff, all the work that they put in every day, and I believe in what our coaches are doing. And I think that once we get everyone to just continue to buy in, and keep it going, I have no doubt that we're going to win a couple big games down the stretch and continue to build that resume for March Madness, so that by the time Selection Sunday rolls around, we can see our name pop up. And so, I'm looking forward to it. I like that we're kind of playing that underdog role right now. I think that's kind of where a guy like me thrives the best. Is when we're kind of counted out, and so I definitely look forward to the next 8 weeks of hoops, and I can't wait. I'm excited. And yeah, I think it's been a gauntlet so far in the Big 12, but I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. Just each game, I learned something new, and so I'm still becoming my best basketball player. I'm still getting better, and I'm definitely looking forward to the end of the season when I think our team will be playing our best basketball.
Yeah, I think Tanner kind of hit on it. I mean, the league in general. I mean, it's our league is so good this year. I mean, it's pretty incredible how every team is whatever top 30 in defense, offense. Like, I think there was a point where every team in our league was in top 40 in the Ken Palm rankings, and so it's a league where, like Tanner said, there's no off nights, and so you kind of got to get used to losing games, because it's really really hard to go undefeated in a league like this. And so it's our coaches do an unbelievable job of putting in hours and scouting and helping us get better and stuff like that. And so we can win games like this, and we can win big games. And so I think they do a great job. And then just our guys, we've known each other since June when we all came together, and so that's definitely kind of a disadvantage, compared to some other college teams that have been playing together for 3-4 years now. And so I think just the guys and kind of the bond that we've created in the last 8 months um, has been pretty good. And I know that there's everyone in that locker room has their heads up still, and we're looking forward to these next 8 games of conference. We know there are games that we can win, and so we just got to put the work in and go out there and do it.
Well, Tanner and Jacob, listen, I think we're going to have a lot of fun together over the next few weeks as you guys turn your attention to the back half of what is a very difficult Big 12 schedule. and hopefully into the postseason for sure. We'll get into the season in some later podcasts. We'll talk about games, and we'll talk about the coaches, and we'll talk about players and teammates. That should be fun. I think these guys are going to let their hair down a little bit, maybe let their beard out a little bit, if you will. Should be fun. Maybe it's going to be a blast, guys. Looking forward to it.
That's awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks again
Thanks,
for
guys.
having us. We're super excited.
Hey, I want to say thanks again to Trade Pros for sponsoring the Groves Bros on the SI Sooners podcast. Give those guys a call at 405-316-0598 for all your heating and air needs, or just go to tradeprosokc.com. And be back here next Wednesday for Tanner and Jacob joining us for another exclusive segment of the Groves Bros. As always, you can listen to that one and all episodes of the SI Sooners podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google, iHeart, or wherever you get your podcasts, or in your Amazon-enabled device. Just say, Alexa, play the SI Sooners podcast. You can always get it off our website, allsooners.com. Just click on the player and listen on your phone, your tablet, or your computer. And, of course, we simulcast the video version over on my YouTube channel, John Hoover Media. Please comment, like, rate, and subscribe. That really helps us out. For Josh Calloway, Ryan Chapman, and, of course, the Groves Bros, Tanner and Jacob, I'm John Hoover. See you guys.